Welcome to another Motortown update video. Today I'm here to tell you guys everything you need to know about the new 0.713 update. This is available on the public testing branch right now, meaning that while it's not fully released for everybody yet, there might still be a bit more content to come or stuff like that. It's deemed ready enough for anybody who wants to try it to do so. So if you want to opt into the new update, this is how you do it. Go to your Steam library, right click on Motortown, go to Properties, Betas, and then select the test branch from the drop-down menu. The new update should start and then you can just play on the new version. However, one big fat warning before we get into anything else here and before you get into that new update, please be sure to make a backup of your entire save folder beforehand. Getting onto the 0.13 update, not a problem, it's gonna work like a charm. But if you ever need to go back to the main branch, let's say if you just want to try out the new stuff and then continue playing on a server that doesn't have the testing update, the game will reset most of your game settings. So if you want to avoid that, make the backup before you first go on to the 0.13 update. And when you want to roll back to 0.12, go into the backup folder, copy over the entire config folder, and then just put it back into the main save file directory, and then you should be ready to go again. I had to deal with this. It's pretty painful, and I would like for anybody else to not have to go through the same thing here. So yeah, just a fair warning, but anyways, let's get into the new stuff here, because after all, that's really what we are all here for, right? So, first up, we have two new trucks. And this is one truck for the CUDA lineup and one for the Atlas, and they are both box trucks, as we can see right here. We have the Atlas drive-in over here, and in the back the CUDA drive-in. I don't think I need to explain to you guys what a box truck is. We had the Tronco and the Kira box for quite a while, and on principle they work pretty much the same. Except for the Atlas having a different drivetrain setup. So this is actually a 6x2 truck with a lift axle. And also, of course, both of these get heavy-duty engines, so they are quite a bit more powerful than their medium-duty counterparts. Plus another upgrade that I'll talk about in a bit. But for now, let's have a closer look at the new Atlas for what it is right here. So it's a pretty sizable truck with a decent box on the back. Should allow you to carry quite a few items, and it even comes with a grand total of 4 utility slots. Usually most trucks get maybe 1 or 2, but this one gets 4, and that means you can have a lot of inventory storage or additional fuel tanks over here. So this is giving you quite a few nice options. Besides that, it also gets the aero parts from the semi-trucks, so you can make the transition from the cab to the box a bit smoother, and I'll show you guys what that looks like in a moment. But yeah, that's the main things about the new box truck over here. In comparison, the CUDA is a bit smaller. Has a smaller box on the back and is only a 4x2 truck. But it's also a bit more nimble, and depending on what you want to do, this might also be a very good option. But yeah, it's pretty much these things say what they do on the tin. I don't know if this one actually has any utility slots. I might actually check in a moment. But first, let's take a look at the aero part that I just mentioned. As you can see, this pretty much closes the gap between the cab and the box, and it looks pretty amazing in my opinion. Also, I went with a full-on fuel tank setup for this thing. So this can go the distance, and it's pretty amazing in that regard. Let's quickly check out the Kira box, just to make sure that I don't miss anything here. I mean the CUDA box. CUDA container, QoL, blah. CUDA driver and where it is. Just checking for any utility. Oh yeah, it has 2 utility slots in the back. So that's also pretty nice. But yeah, the main thing that's new and that's only available for the CUDA and Atlas lineup right now, and not even the semi-trucks because it wouldn't make that much sense on there anyways. The new thing available for all of the trucks that you can see right now is a new hitch. And that's a ring type hitch, which will allow you to pull one of the new dollies. And the dollies are equipped with a 5th wheel attachment, so this means that all of these trucks are able to pull semi-trailers, giving you quite a bit more capacity overall and a few combination options which might be fun to play around with. I won't get into every single detail right now, but yeah, your overall capacity for bulk cargo has increased. You can now have up to 60 kiloliters of whatever liquid you want to haul using the Atlas tanker and the Tanko 40 trailer. You can have up to 3 20-foot containers with this container truck here and also the long container trailer. And I don't know how useful this is going to be, but you can even do something like this using the live fish truck. I mean, that's likely more for fun, but nice that we got the option for that one as well. And in addition to that, on the Trello right now, we have cards for flatbed versions of these trucks. So there might be an Atlas and CUDA flatbed version at some point. I don't know when they are going to come, what kind of drivetrain configuration they have, but if you prefer flatbeds over the dry vans, then maybe that might be a good thing to wait for, but no guarantees that it's going to come anytime soon. But yeah, the new hitch, pretty amazing. Also makes maneuvering quite a bit more difficult with the dolly, because, well, you're gonna have to control the dolly and that's going to control where the trailer goes. So it's really indirect, but yeah, that's something for everybody to figure out on their own, I guess. But yeah, enough about the trucks. Let's take a look at the new dollies and new trailers. Also, the hitch is currently not available for any of the trailers, so having daisy-chained road trains is not a thing, and I'm not entirely sure if it's ever going to come, but right now it's certainly not an option. So let's go over to the trailer dealership to check out the new stuff, which first up is going to be the dollies. We have 4 different options available. The differences are that 2 of them are single axle, 2 of them are double axle, and also, yeah, 2 of them have single wheels and 2 of them have double wheels. That's giving you 4 different combinations, and this is all what we have right here. These also come with very soft suspension by default, so usually it might be a good idea to just get one of these and upgrade it with reinforced springs, and that will certainly help out quite a bit for heavier loads. Another little thing to mention, the single wheel dollies, so these 2 over here, they have a longer distance between the 5th wheel and the trailer hitch over here. So yeah, these ones are going to put your truck and trailer quite close together, and that might not be that great for certain configurations. So if you want a bit more space between the truck and trailer, go for the single wheel ones. But besides that, yeah, these fins are pretty straightforward, especially as long as you pull them. If you want to reverse into anything, as I said already, that's going to be a bit more difficult. But yeah, I mean, on principle, these should be pretty easy to tell what we are going to do. So since we have a lot of stuff to go through today, I won't be getting into any demonstrations here. Besides the new dollies, we also have two new trailers available over here, which are the show van trailers, or that's really short for short van. We have show van 10, which is a 10-meter truck, or 10-meter trailer, I mean, and the show van 7, which is a 7-meter trailer. And yeah, this would also be good options for the Limousine semi. If you want to go off-roading, you might be wanting to try out one of these over the Olbe trailer. I think the 10-meter version is a bit more spacious than the Olbe, but yeah, that's something for you guys to try out. Overall, besides this, I don't think there's too much else to talk about regarding these two, so let's move on to the new car. And we can find it over here at the legendary, or not the legendary, I was thinking in GTA terms for a moment, the luxury dealership. This isn't Legendary Motors, even though some of these things are pretty cool. And yeah, over here we have a new hatchback. This is the Pulse, based on the Honda E in real life, and it's a rear engine, rear wheel drive electric car. Finally, a second EV in the game, and yeah, depending on how you tune it, it can be a lot of fun, it can be pretty uncontrollable. Really depends on what engine you go with and your final drive ratio, more than anything. But yeah, it's fun to have a new vehicle in here, it's fun to have something more modern, and yeah, this thing can also be used for pizza runs and the likes because it actually has usable trunk space, if you look at the vehicle info. So yeah, stock engine, 130 horsepower EV, EV1 speed, which is the only transmission available for EVs, so that's a CVT. 4 seats, 4 doors, sadly only 2 comfort, I wish they maybe increase that to 3. But in the end, this thing, pretty cool and gonna be a lot of fun until you have to recharge it. By the way, battery capacity on this thing, not too great, so gotta be careful with it. I got my own one over here to show you guys the customization. So let's drive down into the back and have a look at that stuff. So, notable parts over here. First up, the engine options, the new 130 horsepower EV introduced with the new car. But we can also get the stock engine from the Zydro, or the upgraded 670 horsepower engine. One of these, at least the stronger one, is likely a bit too powerful, but you can change a lot of the vehicle's behavior by changing the final drive ratio. If you go up in the list, it's gonna be a bit tamer. If you go further down, it's potentially gonna be uncontrollable. So it depends on what you want to do there, which engine you go with to begin with, and yeah, that's how EV works. And yeah, as I mentioned, only single speed transmission over here. Also have to come to a full stop in order to get into reverse. It's kind of annoying in my opinion, but it's the same with the Zydro. So yeah, nothing else to mention here, I don't think. It also has a few aero upgrades. So we have a stock bumper, we have an upgraded aero bumper, and also one with a bit of carbon fiber down the line. And the similar thing happens on the side. By stock we don't have anything equipped here, so this is already an upgraded option. And this one can also come in full carbon fiber. Rear bumper, stock one again, and a big carbon diffuser here. So yeah, another big option, but I just went with a stock one for myself. I prefer this a bit more. Gives you a tiny bit of downforce and actually drag coefficient, so this might be a better option, but I prefer the look of this one. 2 spoiler options for the rear. So one that's just like a little dovetail over there. and also a slightly more pronounced spoiler with a bit more downforce, and yeah, in the end the parts are not too crazy or anything. And that's about it for this one. I don't think it has anything else special going on. Of course, can be used as a taxi, get a trailer hitch, but that's just really the usual stuff. And yeah, that's the end of all of the new vehicles that we got this time around. I mean, it's quite a few new ones, and also especially the dollies are going to be giving you quite a few nice options in order to play the game in a different way. Before we take a look at the stuff that changed around the world, one thing I would like to point out at this point, you might notice it already, there are no traffic cars around. With the new update, we finally get the option to change the traffic density. We can do that for the regular traffic cars, and also the police is its own setting. So if you don't want police but only other civilian drivers going around the world, that's something that we can do. We can also just have a police state with only police cars in traffic, but we can also turn off the entire thing. It's pretty nice. It's gonna be a huge improvement for racing, so I'm really looking forward to the next racing events when we don't need to bother with any traffic, and especially getting wanted levels from police anymore. This is a pretty big game changer. Although honestly, I gotta say, for just playing on the regular without any racing in mind, I would actually go and increase the traffic density. There can be a few problems with it not exactly working out the best. It can get gridlocked and that kind of thing. There have been attempts at improving the AI again, which is a good improvement, but I don't think for the higher settings, anything above 200%, and even at that point it can be a bit janky at some point. There still needs to be a few more things that happen in order to make that work out in a really smooth way. But yeah, traffic density is an option now, and it's amazing. So let's go and talk about changes to the world. And we don't have to go very far, because the entire downtown area has gotten a road update. So the roads look a bit more detailed now. There's a bit more going on with the texture. We also have this wooden sidewalk, which is just looking amazing. And so far, the entire downtown area has been changed over with this, and also a few of the parts have been smoothed out a little bit. So yeah, this is looking so much better than before. Also, the main road now has the trees on the outside instead of the middle anymore. So this is all looking quite a bit better. It's working out pretty nicely, and especially the road on the east end here. This one has also been changed around, and I mean, the flair of the city has definitely been improved by quite a bit through this whole thing here. The trees look a lot nicer. I think there's also overall a few more of them around here, and it just, I mean, look at it. I don't even need to say anything. This is just looking so much better than ever before, and I'm really happy that we got this upgrade over here for the town. But compared to the thing that I'm going to show you guys next, this is really a small thing. Because besides all of this stuff over here, which affects this little area, we also got an entirely new town. Ladies and gentlemen, let me welcome you guys to Ara. A town in the southeast end of OG Island. Finally a new town in the game. And this thing, it's pretty nice. So let me get my pulse again, and we are going to have a quick look around here. We are currently on the north end, which is also where you enter the entire area. And going further north from here, we will find another heavy-duty repair shop. I was actually spawning in at the regular tuning garage, but we also have a bus terminal over here. So this is another main destination for bus passengers. So this is another major addition to the bus network, and something that might be a good idea to consider in your company bus routes and that kind of deal. But besides that, we also have the aforementioned tuning garage, which I can have a quick look around here. It's a bit more open than the old ones, so that's all pretty neat. And if we go down into the town, we can actually see the different houses and all of that. Right now there seems to be a bit of copy and paste going on. I mean, they're developing this area and there's likely going to be a few more updates over the time. But for now, a lot of the plots are set up in identical ways. Sometimes with a few different house colors and all of that. But yeah, for example, this one right here, we can tell that these two neighboring plots, they are pretty much identical apart from the color of the shed in the front. And that's a repeating theme for now, but once again, this is the first version where we got this entire town, and I think it's likely gonna get a few more updates here. This is just something to get started with, and I am so happy to finally see it. Driving around the long bend over here at the end of the town. And yeah, this is a coastal town, which is giving a pretty nice view. I wish we had updated some of the water textures and everything, but as it is right now, it's still pretty neat looking in my opinion. And yeah, the town just keeps going on for a while. We just went from this end over here to right here. There's also a gas station down below. We'll check that out in a moment. But more importantly, we also have a supermarket here. And you may have already seen it when I had the cursor on the gas station. There is a slightly new mechanic here, and that is that all the tuning shops, both the regular one and the heavy duty one, and also the gas station, is only going to ever be open if you have at least 20% town bonus in Era. And to be clear, Era has its own town bonus area, so has Gwangjin now. So if you want to go here, refuel or repair your vehicle, you're going to need to provide the area. And honestly, with single player, it's actually quite simple. I just had a single bus route, going through all the different bus stops in the area, going to the terminal, and that's about it. I'm also doing some food deliveries over here, but they are not even required. But yeah, overall, this is how the entire area works right now. And to be honest, at this point, I'm gonna inject my own opinion here. While I like the idea that this doesn't automatically work, that you actually have to put in some work in order to get this to function, I don't know how much I like the town bonus being part of this, because in the end, as I already mentioned, for single player, it's very easy to get this to work. Set up one single bus and you won't ever have to take care of it anymore. For multiplayer, it's going to be very unreliable if you are not allowed to use company vehicles, or if you are not allowed to use company AI routes and that kind of thing. And I kind of wish they went with a slightly different model, like maybe go with having to supply the places and then just having stuff available for a certain amount of time, and once it runs out you will have to resupply, and maybe being able to see it on the map if you run low on whatever supplies the stuff needs. Because right now in single player you basically don't ever have to interact with the stuff anymore after you set up your single route, And in multiplayer it's completely unreliable, and I would like the stuff to be a bit more consistent between the different ways of playing the game. But yeah, Ara overall, big fan, really happy to finally see a new town. And it's not only amazing because we now have another destination for our food supply trucks. We not only have another few bus routes that we can set up right now, this is also a major destination for taxi. And that's very important to me because I have been complaining about taxi for the most part going between Gwangjin and Jeju over here, just back and forth all the time, because that's where most of the destinations went and where you would immediately find another passenger to continue your taxi endeavors. And having another big and major destination over here, where you can also now choose to constantly go back and forth between the main island and this town down here, game changer in that regard, in my opinion. Still have to figure out if the pay works out, but I think it should. And yeah, you have seen this correctly. There are a few connecting roads over here. So first up we have a coastal road that starts at the south end of Ara and goes just on the east side. You can even loop back around to the steel mill, so that has like a bypass road connecting you to the steel mill in a more straightforward way. But you can also take the entire thing past Gwangjin and go up all the way north back onto Jeju Island. Another big thing here is that for the coal and iron runs beforehand, the game would calculate the intended route as going through the mining road over here, going up north, and then going all the way up north to Baiyang and back down this direction before eventually you will finally get to the steel mill. Since we now got a different route, we are now being paid about half as much as before, which in my opinion is a lot more fair than before. It was really out of proportion, but also now the route is going to be once again through Gwangjin, out through the north end, and then taking the much shorter and much more direct route to the steel mill. A lot of people have already been taking shortcuts, but I like that they finally put in an official route here. Just waiting for the connection from the Namdang lumber mill to this road here, which I hope is going to come at some point sooner than later. But having this one already makes it so much better. No more cheesy shortcuts, no more out of balance pay, and no more stupidly long intended line. This is all working a lot better now, in my opinion, even though the lower payout, even though it's fair right now, might need to get some taking used to. And while I won't be traveling along the entire route now, because that would be way too long for this already pretty long video where we still have a lot of things to look at and talk about, I at least want to show you guys the south end of this new road here. Because the coastal road, apart from maybe the middle bit here, which is still very much work in progress, this is still a bit barren, but the south part here, it's so amazingly beautiful. I can also show you guys the inside of a car here. This is actually the first car that has no rear view mirrors. This actually comes with cameras on the outside, so this is how the screens here get their image. But yeah, this is the pulse from the inside. But let's now take a closer look at the new scenery here. And I mean, this is absolutely gorgeous. And it continues to be gorgeous past the steel mill and all of that, so once again, I don't think it would be a good idea to show you guys everything right now. You can check that out for yourself. But yeah, I love what they are doing for the looks of the game. This is really stepping into its own now. Instead of just being a bit of barren land and Sinti asset packs and all of that. This game is really starting to get its own visual identity, and I'm so here for it. So yeah, good job on Betty's part. This is amazing. But yeah, let's see, what else do we have to talk about here? I think I'm gonna go to Gwangjin next because it's a similar story. There hasn't been any real changes in regards to what the area looks like, but it's now also got its own town bonus, and the market over here is actually working like a supermarket now. And it also got its own little gas station. I don't know if I even showed you guys the other gas station, but yeah, it's down here. Nothing too crazy. And this thing will only open if you have at least 20% town bonus in this area as well. You also can't use the vendor until you get that, so yeah. Again, I find this pretty interesting on principle, but overall, this might be a bit out of line. The area is already difficult to reach and everything, and now having to put in extra work to get the pallets down here, I'm not entirely sure about it. You know what, since the sun is going down, let's just skip the night while I talk a bit more about what I like and don't like about this. What I really enjoy about this is that we now have cargo going into this area. Beforehand, it was always just planks and concrete, fuel, that kind of thing. But now we also have pallets, and I think that's really nice. That's a good use for the medium duty stuff to just bring some items in here and make a good amount of money. But I think the town bonus, both in multiplayer and single player, it's just not gonna work out too well, because unless you're really just going in here and delivering stuff, it's always gonna be at 0. You cannot automate this, and you also need some town bonus in order to get enough people here to get a bus filled up. So yeah, I don't know. Again, I would prefer it for the gas station if it just needed fuel, and as long as there's still fuel in here, you should be able to use it. And if it runs out, then you need to do another delivery, and that should be it. Tying it in with a town bonus, which is just a thing that's going to last for a comparatively short time and work quite unreliably usually, I don't think that's the best way to handle this thing. But again, overall, for this being a remote town, it works pretty well that you need to deliver some stuff here in order to get anything done here. But yeah, Gwangjin also got some love over here, so there are going to be multiple more updates to this area, I'm pretty sure. I even suggested getting a property in this area, and that's on the Trello right now, so looking forward to that as well in the future. But yeah, let's go and take a look at the next thing. Oh yeah, I don't have a campy over here, but the storage area got expanded by adding plank storage and fuel storage. So you can now go and get a large truck with fuel or planks over here, unload them, and then later down the line bring them either to the mines or into Gwangjin town. So this is a nice little layover point, which got a bit of an expansion in its functionality. Besides that, let's go over to the quarry now, because we now got a new quarry facility. I'm just gonna jump down here. Please don't do this at home or in a real life quarry. This wouldn't go your way. But yeah, this is a new facility being added to the bottom of the quarry. I'm really happy that it's limited to this point, because up on the different other stages up there, that's usually where we have some rally tracks, and I like that they don't get disturbed by new additions. But yeah, this thing right now isn't functional. That should be happening at some point sooner or later, and it's meant to be a rock crushing place. I'm not entirely sure how this is supposed to be working, but I remember something being said about potentially getting limestone blocks as a cargo. So yeah, we're going to see how that pans out sooner or later down the line, but right now this is only for show, and it's gonna have to get its full functionality with a later update. Okay, I think now on to the last part of the world updates. Again, so much happened here, it's quite amazing. We got a complete overhaul for the concrete plant. So this thing is now completely boxed in. It has automatic gates that can open. You can also go through the door over here. So yeah, 2 gates, 2 doors, and this thing, I mean, I've been hoping to get an upgrade for this entire thing here, because it's been kinda basic before, and this is so amazing. So let's go through everything over here. Sand is getting delivered to this point. You will have to drive up the ramp in reverse and drop it off to the side over here. The cement is going to be unloaded over here, which is fitting for the dry bulk trailer, because that's usually unloading through a hose into a silo. So that's exactly what we have here, and that's working out pretty well. And for fuel, we have a fuel tank over here. And of course, if you want to load up, you can go to this place, and this is where you can get all the stuff again. Overall, this is just an optical update. Nothing really changed in terms of the mechanics. That should still all be the same. So yeah, works quite nicely, but visually the upgrade is very significant. And it's also nice that now finally all the stuff is being put in a way that's realistic to how it would load and unload. So beforehand, it all felt like a bit of a placeholder, and it was holding the place for something really amazing. Takes some getting used to the gates opening and closing. But yeah, so much about this thing. And yeah, I think that was all. I got some items marked down for what I want to talk about today, but they are not all in the order of which I ended up talking about them. So I'm trying to make sure that I'm not skipping anything. But yeah, the next thing now would be, and I'm gonna figure out where I best go to show this. The next thing is, oh no, that's the wrong place. Let's go over here, because the next thing has to do with lighting. We got a few new fun things to play around with. So I think for this one I want to show you guys my compacties. By the way, Ara of course has trash bags as well, so you can go in there and do a trash run, which while not really being all that useful in terms of payment, it's adding a nice bit of a nice bit of variety. So let's go over to the light attachment place here, because we got a new item. And that's a mid-sized LED bar. So the whole lighting system here has gotten another pretty good upgrade here, because not only do we now have an option for a slightly longer LED bar compared to the short and the long one. Fits right in the middle here, so that's a nice one that can allow people to maybe get rid of two short ones, replace them with a longer one, and therefore have a few more slots available. But it also works in a pretty neat way that I can show you guys on my truck here. Because instead of having the usual, and you may have already noticed that there are fewer things on here than there were before, instead of having the usual red, green and blue lights available, we now have one for each length and the option to change the color to whatever we want. Maybe I shouldn't have made this day right now, because that's going to make it much harder to see. Let me turn on the lights. Maybe we can at least see the light after all without the glow. But yeah, I can just go in here now, change the light color and turn it all white. Turn it black if I want to for whatever reason. Red, yellow, blue, whatever. Maybe I want a slightly off-white for this one. This is looking pretty nice. So yeah, that's an option for all the LED bars now. And to be clear, if you go into this update, anything that you bought before, it's going to automatically convert to have the option, but it's still going to keep the light color that you had before. So it's not gonna go have the thing not work anymore. It's all gonna be how you want it to. And besides that, there have been a few more light modes added to the whole thing. So we now have, in addition to the old one, we have one for engine on. So as soon as you get into the car, turn on the engine, whatever light you set to that is automatically going to turn on. And we can also bind something to the hazard light specifically now, which I have done for my sirens over here. So if I go for the left indicator, the sirens stay off. If I go for the right one, they stay off. But if I turn on the hazard light specifically, they turn on. But yeah, be sure that you know that these things are going to blink as well. So they're not going to be on permanently, but they are going to be going on and off in the same rhythm as the hazard lights on the car. So yeah, that's another pretty nice option here. And there's also one for finally getting an auxiliary light. That's on the Trello right now. I don't know if that's going to come anytime soon, but I would hope it does, because that would still be very useful. I appreciate the new options, but getting just a light that isn't attached to anything else would be really amazing for some things. But yeah, so much for all of this. We have the RGB for LED lights, we have the mid-length underglow and engine on and hazard light mode, which are all very welcomed additions. Okay, now on to a few changes and bug fixes. So I only took care of the ones that I think are more significant, because there's a lot of stuff that happened with the update, but I don't think everything needs to be talked about here. So I'm gonna keep this short. First up, trucks with dual wheels. If you put them onto a low max, or maybe can even fit them onto the Kera rollback truck or whatever, they are going to be strapped down on the inside wheels. So it's a bit more narrow, and that means that maybe you can strap down a few vehicles that would otherwise not allow you to do so. There is better taxi payment balance for remote locations. Again, might need to do a bit more testing. I mentioned this before, but there are a few things that should have been improved. And you know what, while talking about this, why don't we just go down to the ARA gas station, just so that I can show you guys that as well. So yeah, better taxi balance. The manual clutch got improved, so you can now actually go with manual clutch shifting, and that should give you a bit better feedback, and if you mess it up, it's not going to work out too well. So yeah, that's a better option now, and I mean, I don't really use it. I don't have the button left over on my controller to bind the clutch to anything, so I won't be testing it out. But from what I heard, people are pretty happy about this. Forklift loading now gives you payment. So if you use the forklift at the steel mill, it will give you a bit of money for the stuff that you load on with it. Again, still pretty much limited to the coils. I hope we get more stuff like that in the future, but they certainly haven't forgotten about it. The AI got a few improvements. They go through crossroads a bit faster, which is nice, but once again, as I mentioned before, with higher density settings for the traffic, it's not going to be enough right now. Especially if you stay around in one particular area, things can get a bit messy and get a bit filled up. Name tag view distance settings have been introduced. And yeah, by the way, this is the gas station. It should actually look a bit different if we have it closed down. But yeah, it's not really too much to talk about here, and there isn't even a building attached to it. Just a very lonesome thing right now, but I mean, it's not even permanently open, so it kinda works out. And yeah, the original construction site here still hasn't been changed. So that might come in the future, that might be a permanent construction site here, I'm not entirely sure. I hope it's gonna come sooner or later. But yeah, you can now go into the settings and set up a name tag view distance. Right here. By default, it's gonna be on 100 kilometers, but you can actually go down pretty far, and if you go below 10 kilometers, you can also set it to 100-meter distances instead of 1 kilometer increments. And if you go down far enough, you can even go much more detail than that. So if you want to go with just something like 500 meters, which is something that I really like, because that allows me to just see people in my immediate vicinity on the servers, and yeah, not anybody who is 20 kilometers away. So if I have somebody coming up right in front of me, I'm aware that there's now a player nearby, where when you go into a crowded server, you basically used to have a cloud of player names in the sky. And that makes it really hard to realize whenever you are close to somebody, and this just helps out quite a bit. So really happy about the setting, and yeah, what can I say? This is gonna make multiplayer look so much better. And the settings are fine enough so that anybody can play it how they want. If you go to 100 kilometers, you are still going to see the full name tag cloud up in the sky, and if you don't like that, there's a way for you to go for exactly what you want, and that's really the ideal solution here. Interactions with parking spot starts list with tractor, van, dolly, and trailer, depending on what you have. So that was a problem for quite a while, and it got a bit confusing for me, even on the live branch where we only had maybe semi-truck and trailer. But now if you have a full setup between truck, dolly, and the trailer, and you go to a parking lot, on top of the list you're always going to have whatever is pulling the thing. Then if you have a dolly, that's going to be the second thing, and then the trailer will always be last. So that's much easier to tell which point you want to go to without having to read through everything, especially if you have a drive and truck and drive and trailer. It's getting sometimes a bit confusing. So maybe let's hook up one of these things for now, just to quickly check this out. So I need to go to trailer because that's where we find the link keys. Hooking that up. Toggling the landing gear. And once I pull that thing ahead, I can now also spawn in an actual trailer. Maybe not the Lobo van, that's not gonna work, but You know what, let's go for the Chauvin 10. That's a pretty good one. And usually for the shorter trailers, it's a good idea to keep it to single axle dollies. Especially the Chauvin 7 might not be able to turn with a dual axle dolly anymore. And the same is true for the Jimusi trailers. But yeah, this is what the whole thing looks like when you are doing stuff like this. When you hook up a truck and trailer together. And to be clear, for reversing with this whole thing, I got a tip for you guys. Imagine a line going through the front of the truck to the back, just a straight line. Same for the trailer and same for the dolly. And whatever your truck and your trailer lines are like, the angle of the line from the dolly should be somewhere in between that. Because if that goes outside of that angle, you are likely going to do something like this. But yeah, if you want to do a sharp turn, make sure that your dolly stays somewhere in between the angle of the other two vehicles. And basically, when you want to maneuver all the stuff, keep a good eye on the dolly. Otherwise, you're not gonna get it where you want to. And yeah, this is going to take a lot of training to get right. At least for me it did. And I'm still not very good with it, to be clear. So don't ask me to reverse into anything anytime soon. That's not gonna work. But yeah, here we can see driving truck first, then the dolly, then the trailer, and that's how it should be. So much easier to tell which thing you are going with right now. Next thing, the H-beams can now also be delivered to construction sites. So that's the one cargo in the steel mill that I haven't really cared about for the longest time, because it's just been not really useful for anything. And I think right now it's also just to make some money. It doesn't really produce anything at the construction site, but it's a nice option to have for different cargo destinations. They might still become more useful later down the line, but right now you can make a bit of money and they are reasonably easy to get, so nothing too crazy here. I was just quickly checking about the ramp over here, because that's been reported as being too steep multiple times, and I think there's a card on the Trello right now about fixing it, but right now it still seems to be quite steep, so I don't think anything has been done here. Okay, next one. There's a new radio station, so if you go to the menu and check that one out, that's got a new option available. The workshop now has a report button, so if anybody puts up any inappropriate things there, you can report it, and it's gonna be checked in by the, or be checked out by the dev, who can then also remove it if it's deemed actually inappropriate. So that's something that's gonna help the community self-moderate quite a bit. The player list now has a name search, which is really useful in single player, I know, but if I was in multiplayer now and maybe go and just type in something, as long as any of the letters is in my name, it's gonna show my name. But once I go with any combination here that doesn't work, it's gonna make that disappear. And yeah, it's live updating, so if you have a server with 100 people and you want to know somebody specific and maybe they got a slightly weird name and you can only remember the LPD, you put in LPD and everybody who has that in their name is still gonna be there. And then you just select the stuff. So this is a pretty nice quality of life improvement. There's also now autocomplete for Whisper, which once again in single player not all that useful. I don't know if I can even whisper to myself. And yeah, that's about it. One little bug that got fixed that I didn't even notice beforehand. If you delivered toys or water bottle pallets to any warehouse that used to not properly get saved there, so I think you just got the payment and they disappeared. But now you can actually save up the stuff and then bring it over to where you want when you want, which is a pretty nice addition. So yeah, that brings me to the end of this video. It's once again been quite a long one because, well, the update, while having taken the time to come out, and I'm so happy that it's finally here. I mean, the stuff that they put in here, it's a mind-boggling amount. Again, this is still a very small team. The main developer also recently became dead. So yeah, them still putting out stuff this strong, this much, really demands respect. Also, they recently got another developer added to the team who has been putting in a lot of quality of life stuff. So really looking forward to what's gonna happen with the next update, how this one is going to evolve, and overall, I mean, the course of this game has really improved with this year. It's just better than ever, and it's getting better faster than ever, and I'm here for it. So with that all being said, thanks for watching. I hope you enjoyed, and let me know your thoughts and opinions on the new update. Until next time, have a good one, and bye bye.